Alright, welcome back to a Conquest unboxing video. I was lucky enough to have Parabellum send me some things from the new Sorcerer Kings stuff that's coming out. So for this particular one, we are going to take a look at the Marid Sahar. So, got a box of these. We're going to go through what these look like. The second part of this video, you're going to see once they're assembled and talk about them there. There'll be a little bit of a time jump because it's the evening, so I have to assemble it down in the basement because that way the plastic glue doesn't just stink up the house. Can't open the back door. That's where the it's been a little bit since we've had a problem. That's sometimes where the skunks go and all. So we'll be back with the overhead view and take a look at this. All right, let's take a look at these guys then. So overall, I have to say I do like the least the base look at them. I think some of the faces are, not the absolute best. You could probably change it up a little bit with the painting. I can kind of see what they're going for there. But let's get into these guys, actually. All right. So we start with our card. Looks pretty good. Actually, I really do like the way they did the face on that one in particular there. Gives it a little bit more, interest, I think. So I had to read more about it. They kind of painted essentially like a water elemental, which for all intents and purposes, are a personal water elemental. We got the bases. So let's see. It is a total of 2 sprues to make all these guys. Okay, so taking a look at it, without even looking at the other piece, we can see that it's a pretty large piece actually goes on the base, so nice, good, strong connection points there. Actually, let's move this out of the way for a second. All right, so we have that. We can see the bodies. They didn't do it here. Sometimes they do it by the number inside, but there's not actually the number inside. It looks like the main part of the body seemed to be in 2. You see their faces for that one. Yeah, it is complete. You can see exactly how it kind of goes on the same way they do some of the calf. Just pops right in front, on top, I should say. So most of the people's bodies are on here. So we see their different weapons that they have. So let me move that out of the way. Different weapons they have. So it looks like this is probably one of them entirely. And then good amount of the body parts. You probably have a few like legs and stuff like that over here. Is probably what we ended up having. Okay, yeah, another body there. So, I mean, they have... Oh, I guess they don't actually... No. Oh, the legs are through the body when you take a look. Like, if you look at this one here, the legs are probably actually connected to the actual horse part. Yep, there it is. So, the lower parts are all attached there. All right. Let's actually take a look and see what they show. How good or easy this looks to put together. Okay. Looks pretty simple whether it's, leader or not. Either way, honestly, I usually build the leaders, even if I don't want them technically as a leader. Just wherever stand is in the middle. Call leader. I usually take them in 3 packs. So very few pieces, if you notice. So if you take a look at the second one, it's lower part, mid, main body, head, couple pieces connect right on, and then a few bits to make him. So this is actually a pretty nice and easy kit, it looks like, to put together. All right. As always, it looks like they're very good, high quality. No problem like that. So I am going to go work on these, and then we're going to take a look, and once they're together, especially help judge a little bit of size. We can see how big the base pieces are, but it's a little tough on this to judge how tall does this thing actually get. So let's do that, and we'll take a look. All right, we are back to take a look at them put together. Didn't take too long. It took just about a quarter and a half of a football game, though I was watching the game. Anytime something sounded interesting, so I did stop. Pretty easy kit to put together compared to some of the other kits. I mean, right, some kits are very complicated, like the Dummer Damashi. This one, very simple to put together. Stuff fits together very nicely. So we see with them what I would say for interchangeability, all the heads seem entirely interchangeable. Could absolutely convert any of those out that I want. Arms, obviously, nice and easy to do. There is one set that the arms are in the reverse order, so you can do that if you wish. So you can interchange left and right arms. Torsos do seem rather interchangeable as well. So essentially what happens, this little back piece, so the 2 ends, the 2 halves here, push together. The back piece kind of fills in a gap. There's a little extra bit of cloth to the side, and then all the torsos sort of have a nub onto them. So all of them look like, you might have to shave them up a little bit depending on the particular look, but all of them look like they would actually fit just fine there. So you could probably interchange all of them out. It's about 2 to 3 pieces for the bottoms. Put those together as we can see. So a few pieces, 4 stacks on top. The one thing I will say, a few things. One, I know I have to go back. Camera pod doesn't pick it up, but there's some mold lines still on this one. So I have to go back and clean these up. I always usually end up having to clean them up. I try to do mold lines as I go, but you always miss some. The other thing I will say, and I don't know if it's picking it up so great, but there is a decent amount. If you want the sort of good, smooth look, you are going to end up doing a decent bit. Oh, this guy actually needs to get pushed back a little bit more. He was kind of pulling up a little bit in the back. He looks pretty, actually. I'm going to have to actually do a little more glue on him. But there is a good amount of mold line, or sorry, not mold line, more of a model line. So where the two halves go together. In some kits, they're hidden better than this. Hidden better. This kit, they're not really hidden that great. So that is something you're going to have to contend with. A few different ways people do that. Some people use sprue glue. I don't really do that. What I ended up doing, which helps quite a bit. Sometimes I still have to do a little more. These ones I will. What I'll do is I'll overdo the glue a little bit. Once you prime it, you won't see it anyway. And then actually will just, as I go along, I'll scrape into where the piece is. So I'll try to smooth the two ends together. That'll give you a fairly good seam. For some spots where it doesn't work so great, like on little cornered pieces like this, some people use liquid green stuff. I actually use a putty that's part marble. Let me see if I can find it real fast. Okay, found what I was actually looking for. So this will actually use, it's a plastic putty. Vallejo makes it. It actually has ground up, marble, a marble or something like that into it. So it actually does a really good job of filling the gaps. It does shrink a tiny little bit, but not by much. So this is actually what I end up using. I do a liquid green stuff as well. I just like because it's a little more solid, at least to start with. So I do find that works out pretty well. Actually, what you can't see is I've been holding the back of this to try to make it a little more flat. So this was the third one. The third one gave me the most problems. It might be hard to see, but the actual connection seam there is actually pretty bad. I do have to fill that in a little bit. Could you get away without any of this? Sure. But it depends on who you are and stuff like that, especially in lighter colors. Lighter colors, I find it's more visible. So I'm definitely going to fill that in a little bit. For size comparison, we'll hold this guy next to this one here. So I thought at first that the Marid were going to be a little short, but actually if you look at them, they're honestly about the same height. And the Marid are obviously a little bit wider overall, but they're essentially very similar in height to other brutes, or at least other brutes here. Flamecaster is pretty equal to general brute size that we end up seeing, at least for this army. So that they actually are fitting it pretty well. All right, well, that I think does it for this one. Like I said, great kit. I do thank Parabellum for sending me this. Now, originally, let's just discuss rules for a moment. The one problem I will say that they have right now is that other than character, they're the only water unit. You don't have, you're lacking some of the synergies that you would want. So, I mean, if you look at some of the list that ended up going to Heos, all of those took air. They weren't taking water they're essentially all fire, but the Maharaj, he can take 2 schools. They just took air. And there's some good reasons as to why. But since these guys are currently literally the only water, if you're not playing with water features, and I know the other day when I did a game, I purposely put a water feature on just to change it up. I wasn't running anything like this, but just to add something at least I find in my area people don't tend to use. If you're not using that, or I don't know, I guess taking the Maharaj with water or someone else with water, these guys lack some of the synergy you might have because they're currently the only water unit. So I have a tournament this Saturday. Hopefully it goes off, and they're always a little hit and miss. But I have a tournament this Saturday. Originally I was going to bring my Ironi, but I think now since I have these, I might actually be doing this instead and try to find a list that fits this in as best I can. Because also, since I want to be fully painted for it, I have to paint less models. I have to finish painting some Denora Disciples, and then these guys and, one of the kit, but that'll be in a different video. Video you'll probably see about a day or so after this one. All right, well, that's it for this. Keep in mind, if you want to pick any of this stuff up, we got the discount code. So it's Train Kicker, saves you 10%. You can pick up some, honestly, very good looking models that do require a little bit of, little easy to put together, but a little bit of hobby to help clean them up. And overall, I mean, I like their rules. I do think they'll do well. I just think they need a few more pieces. But it's a good way to start experimenting with your color schemes and the way you want to do any of this stuff. All right, well, on behalf of everyone on the show, then, has a good hobby. It's a great gaming.